Welcome to our JavaScript tutorial for beginners. JavaScript is a programming language used to add interactivity to websites. It's a fundamental skill for web development, and it's also used in mobile and desktop applications, game development, and server-side programming. What is JavaScript? JavaScript is a client-side scripting language, which means that it runs on the user's web browser. It's used to create interactive web pages, web applications, and mobile applications. So, JavaScript syntax is similar to other programming languages like Python, CSS, Java, and so on. So, I want to give you a basic example, but first, let's create a new file on our VS Code. Just left click new file and name it index.js, which is an extension of JavaScript. Save your file. So here's a basic example. Just type console.log hello world. So this code prints hello world to the console. Now let's talk about variables. So variables are used to store values in JavaScript. Here's an example. Let name equals to, in quotation marks, John. Now console.log name. So this code declares a variable name and assigns its value John, then it prints the value to the console. Now let's talk about data types. Which is data types. Oh, I made a mistake. So JavaScript has several data types, including numbers, for instance 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Another variable, another data type, which is string. For instance, hello in quotation marks. Another data type is boolean, which is true or false. Another data type is an array. An array, they are in square brackets. For instance, 1, 2, 3, and so forth, so on. Another data type is object. So objects are in braces. For instance, name is John in quotation marks, and age is 30, for example. Now let's talk about operators. So JavaScript has various operators for performing arithmetic, comparison, logical, and assignment operations. Here are a few examples. Let's say let x is 5, and let y is equals to 3. Now don't forget to put the semicolon after each and every line of your JavaScript. So now you see, let's say console.log x plus y. So the output in this case is going to be 5 plus 3, which is equals to 8, since 5 plus 3 is 8. Now let's say console.log x is equals to y. So in this case it's going to print false, since x is not equals to y, or 5 is not equals to 3. Now let's try another one. Console.log x is greater than y. In this case the output is going to be in this case the output is going to be true, since 5 is greater than 3, or x is greater than y. Now let's talk about control structures. Control structures are used to control the flow of your program's execution. So here are a few examples. Let's say let x is equals to 5, and if in brackets x is greater than 10, so in braces you say console.log in quotation mark x is greater than 10. Now you say else in braces console.log in quotation mark x is less or equal or equals to 10. So this code checks if x is greater than 10. If it is, it prints x is greater than 10. As you can see, x is greater than 10, and otherwise it prints x is less or equals to 10. Now let's talk about functions. So functions are reusable blocks of code that perform a specific task. So here's an example. Let's say function greet in braces, you say console.log using backticks, say hello, and this $sign inside is the braces. You type the name that has been put. Now when you call the function, you say greet with your name, for instance John in quotation mark, don't forget, say John, and this code defines a function greet that takes a name parameter. It then calls the function with the argument John. So This is for our first lesson on JavaScript. We've covered the basics of JavaScript, including variables, data types, operators, control structures, and functions. Practice makes perfect, so be sure to try out these concepts in your own code editor. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in the next lesson.